Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Beware the Board, a horror podcast where we watch a randomly selected horror movie every single week. I'm Bob.
I'm Ben.
Jesus fucking Christ. Ben, sorry this is such a fucking whack-ass intro. Ben's been fucking trolling me for the past 45 minutes. I've been sitting here with the recording software going, and he just keeps making horrible, horrific jokes that no one will ever hear. Oh my god. Hey Ben, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's kind
Yeah?
of late. Like later than we normally start recording.
Well, we had other stuff to do today.
We did other stuff.
But also we went and got food, which is like a whole
Yeah.
separate thing. Yeah, and ice cream.
Yeah.
He only sounds like that because we got done getting food and he was like, "Do you want ice cream?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm okay." He was like, "You sure?" Man basically tried to guilt trip me into going to get ice cream because he wanted some and he was driving. And I was like, "If you're going to go get ice cream, go get ice cream.
I like ice cream.
You're not going to defend yourself in any
No.
way? You're just a fucking..."
I feel no shame.
Then why did you not... Why? He was only going to go get ice cream if I agreed.
Right. Because like I didn't want to drive 20 minutes to get ice cream and you not get anything.
But if...
I was asking if you were going to get anything.
Even if I had said no, you could have still just gotten
Yeah, but I
some.
probably wouldn't have done it because it takes a while to do. Like
wasn't
drive
that
there
bad.
and drive back. It's not that bad, but
It's
still.
not that bad.
Yeah, so let's just get into the podcast.
No, hold on. Well, quit making that face at me. Sometimes I wish I had a camera that was pointed at you because you make the dumbest faces and get so angry at me during the podcast. Not really angry. There's something I want to talk about before we get to the actual podcast part of the podcast where we, talk about a movie or whatever. I've been rewatching, and I teased this earlier when we were working on the other thing we recorded earlier today. I was rewatching our episode on Halloween. Because, I like to go back through and watch old content sometimes just to see.
Even though he only watched 10 minutes of that episode.
I probably watched half an hour worth, and that episode's like an hour long or something. I digress. Benjamin, you know how sometimes people are like, we became what we hated. We evolved from what we hated.
Well,
We've surpassed.
What are you talking about?
You know how we're always shitting on Scream fans for spoiling that movie?
Yeah.
We spoil Scream in the first 15 minutes of our episode on Halloween, and I got so angry when I listened to it because I did not know we did that.
Yeah, we say who the killer is, right?
Yes!
Both of them?
Yes! We spoiled the whole thing!
Yeah.
Which makes me not knowing later even funnier.
I know. I remember doing that. I don't know where you got the second killer from.
No, I have no idea.
I remember doing that, and to be honest, it was one of those things where even episode 3 or 4, we already knew how bad it was, and we were just like, well, fuck it. But also, we gave a warning before that.
No, we didn't. No,
Totally
we
gave
didn't.
a warning.
We were just talking about random bullshit, and then I don't know what we were talking about. Dr. Loomis for the first time, and Scream came up. I don't even know how Scream came up. And you're like, "Oh yeah, same last name."
Yeah,
Like,
Billy Loomis.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. And then we just both said it out loud, and I was like, "I can't believe we did that." But then I got so angry. I don't know, 90 episodes later. About the exact same thing.
I think it's just much funnier that we did that then and you didn't remember.
I mean, it is funny, but I'm just like, God bless. That's such a funny through line for the podcast.
I guess, but at the same time, this is a horror podcast. And, you expect to hear spoilers for movies on here.
I know, but we've gotten so much better about not trying to ruin it for people.
We have, but, that was...
But back then, we just didn't give a flying fuck.
Because it wasn't the format. It didn't matter.
Yeah. I just thought it was really, really funny.
That's still better than going onto Twitter and, posting a picture of the killer with their name.
Oh, we haven't talked about that on the podcast, have we?
No.
Oh, my God. Look, I know I'm being a hypocrite because of what I just told you we did on episode 4
like I
of the
said,
podcast.
that's completely different. Because horror podcast, you talk about horror stuff. And also, we were a very loosey-goosey, spoiler-filled podcast.
Yeah. No, I sent this to Ben, and I was so fucking angry. I'm scrolling through Twitter, and this is about a Scream spoiler that I saw. Not for Scream, for a different movie, but I don't know which Scream it was because you didn't tell me, but I don't really care.
I wasn't planning on telling you.
That's fine. Because, I mean, as soon as we watch the movie and I see the character, I'm going to go, oh, it's this one. So it doesn't really matter. Basically, I was scrolling through Twitter and someone posted a picture of a character from Scream and said, this character was a pretty good ghost face. Why would you ever just post that with like no content warning, no spoiler warning? You're not going to hide the picture. I'm so upset about it. I'm so sick of like I need to go back. You know what I didn't do? I didn't mute the word ghost face. But I muted like Scream.
Oh, you need to go mute Ghostface.
I need to mute Ghostface.
So a lot of people don't even say Scream anymore. They're just
No.
like, here's the Ghostface killers.
It's just like, motherfucker. Like, can you all stop, please? Scream enjoyers. Like, I get it. It's cool. Some of us haven't seen all those films. And, you know, are on the internet sometimes. So mad. I was so mad. God. In lighter news, it was Friday the 13th this Friday.
That was cool.
That was cool.
Lots
yeah.
of memes.
Lots of memes. Good ones.
I changed my my profile picture on stuff like Google and Steam and stuff.
Did you change it on Discord?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
Because my usual one is Kirby eating a watermelon. And
Yeah.
I've now changed
I know,
it.
because that's your email. When I email you stuff, I always know it's you because it's Kirby and a watermelon.
I changed it.
To the one I sent you?
It's now Kirby and a Jason mask.
Yep. It was a very good meme I sent Benjamin of Kirby eating Jason Voorhees and turning into Jason. No, it was cool that Friday the 13th was like, happened during October. Because it was like, at work, they were doing tons of like Halloween themed stuff. So, in my office.
Oh,
Like not down where you work, in the slums.
Don't call it the slums.
It's the slums, Benjamin. I don't care. It's hot and sweaty down there. I sit in an air-conditioned office now.
Just like you.
Huh?
Bob can't deny that.
What?
He said it's hot and sweaty just like you.
I'm not hot, nor am I sweaty. Okay. Do you have any... Oh, my God. I was going to ask if you had any other news. Do you have any other news before I start yelling again?
No, I'm just going to let you yell.
Okay. So, you know how we were talking about the new Exorcist movie last week?
And how it's 10 times better than...
Shut up, bitch. I don't want
That's
to
my
hear
favorite quote ever. That guy going, so much better.
it. Shut up, motherfucker. Well, the new one apparently bombed in the box office and is not doing well. People are dunking all over it. People are not...
In reviews.
in reviews.
But in money.
But I guess it made money because they've announced they're making another one already. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the same director. I don't know the concept. I don't know anything about it. Can they please stop?
Admittedly, it might be one of those things where this movie didn't make a lot of money, but they're like, all right, we have a chance to potentially make enough money on the second one that it's worth it.
No.
You know?
I don't care.
I know you don't care.
I'm just mad. I'm just really upset about it, to be honest. That's all it is. That's all it is. I just wanted to put that out into the world, is that we're probably going to watch that new Exorcist movie at some point on the podcast. I don't want to give it my money, but I will. And we'll probably watch the other one.
I
I'm
mean,
just angry
Fair, we probably will.
that they're making them. Because motherfuckers, stop making things that don't need to be made. They don't need to make it. It's a cash grab. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, I don't know. It just makes me upset. It just makes me so upset. Because the original feels so defiled. That makes me angry.
Defiled.
Okay. You don't have anything?
Nope.
Okay. I guess we'll move on to the actual podcast part of the podcast.
Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about podcasts.
I mean, we could.
Can you imagine?
A podcast about podcasts?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Not a bad idea.
I do not think, however, that it would be great.
No. We have 3 categories for the season.
Yeah, do you need me to break them down again? Because we're kind of still early on.
You can if you want to.
All right, so we have 3 categories this season. We have my category, which is Slurposaurs, which is, it's a film technique, and it's kind of a nickname for that technique, but it's when you use a real-life animal to represent something it's not. So usually it's like an animal representing like a monster or some real-life thing that it very clearly isn't. It's used in horror sometimes. A good example of a film we've watched on this podcast would be Night of the Lepus, because like the bunnies in that, when they're giant monster bunnies, are played by regular bunnies that are digitally enlarged. In fact, they're digitally enhanced bunnies. But that's a Slurposaur. However, while there is examples of it in horror, like Tarantula and obviously Night of the Lepus, the vast majority of examples exist in like the realm of science fiction, kind of adventure stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so for this season, we're kind of trying out maybe stepping a little away for horror, when we have to for like, observing a technique.
Yeah, because like this podcast is a horror podcast, but it's also a film podcast.
Yeah, if I could have my way, we would do all horror. But to be honest, I think it'll work out better if we do some non-horror movies
Mm-hmm.
because I just want to look at this technique because I think it's really cool.
No, but also like I feel like it adds variety. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes.
It's nice every once in a while.
But, heads up, that category is not going to be horror this season. So I'm sorry about that. I know that kind of sucks. Additionally, and I'm going to give this disclaimer now, the movies we're watching, because Slurposaurus stuff was really big back in the 40s through 60s, because it was basically the super cheap cutting budget way of doing like movie monsters and stuff, because the alternative was like stop motion, which was a lot more expensive. But since it was popular back then, before, animal cruelty laws, sometimes there's some animal cruelty in these films. And that really sucks. And I wish it wasn't in them, but I think it's sometimes important to view film history and the fact that, like, it's not always great.
Yeah, no, there's some fucked up shit in movies.
So I'm going to give you a warning now on that category. And I'm not sure how we're going to work it whenever we cover a film. Probably at some point during the movie, we'll go over potentially any issues.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Bob will slap a warning at the beginning with those listed.
Yeah.
Or something. We'll have to figure it out. But, warning for that category. Our second category is pre-code movies, which are basically movies made before, like, the pre-code laws, which is like the precursor. Not the pre-code laws. Movie code laws, which is just a precursor to, like, MPA-style rating of movies. Basically, it was a bunch of rules that said, hey, you can do this in horror in like movies, but you can't do this.
Yep.
And it basically banned movies from being like controversial or not safe for families, which doesn't seem like a big deal. But when you watch a lot of pre-code films, besides the fact that they're weird because they're super super early in film history, like before the 1930s, a lot of them have themes and ideas that you would expect from films maybe from the 80s onwards, because you're just not used to associating them with older films. So a lot of like more horror-esque themes in these pre-code films. Then our final category is neo-monster movies, which was Bob's category, and I harped on him last episode, so all I'm going to say here is it was a very confusing choice because it's not really a pre-existing genre.
Look,
but it was an interesting choice. I'm glad he chose it. We'll have some interesting movies on this podcast with it. However, the way we're using to define it here, because we couldn't really get a solid definition of it or find a solid list of films for it, is ideally a monster movie featuring a humanoid monster, preferably one, but multiple are okay, that does not fit the traditional genre of like zombie, werewolf, vampire. Basically, it's a unique monster.
Yeah.
But it's humanoid. But those are our three categories. So Bob chose Neo Monster movie last week. Shockingly enough, he chose, I think it was spot 2.
Yeah, I think so.
But that was
Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers, which it has some problems.
Yeah.
From a moral standpoint.
From a moral standpoint, but I like that movie.
But we covered it, so don't have to talk about it again.
Yeah.
And then that was spot 2. So I assume he's going to choose a different spot today. Because knowing Bob, different category, different spot.
Yeah. So my thought process here is I am super duper interested in pre-code film. Like, it's something that I've known about for a while because there's this other dude on YouTube. He does like bar content, but he's also super into movies. And
Which guy is it?
I think it's, what is it, How to Drink?
Oh, yeah, I know.
He talks about like movie stuff all the time on his show.
Yeah, he does.
And he was talking about how he was basically making cocktails from pre-code movies as like a whole like
that's fair, but that's
genre series thing.
That's less like cocktails from pre-code movies and more just looking at old cocktails because interestingly enough, tastes change over time. So like old cocktails are really weird, especially because Prohibition and stuff. Have you ever seen like a cowboy?
Oh, what is that? Isn't that whiskey and beer or something?
No, it's like whiskey and like cream.
That's what it is.
It's a weird Prohibition cocktail, but stuff like that. And a lot of those recipes are like lost, so there's a lot of I guess the word would be cocktail historians who like try and dig up old recipes and make them and stuff. It's more that, but then he's probably theming it towards
No, yeah,
movies.
he was talking about movies and stuff, and for the longest time, he always talked about like the code laws and pre-code stuff, and I've always been interested in watching films from that era, but I never really thought about watching horror films from that era, and that is so interesting to me.
I mean, there's a shocking amount of horror films from that era because, like I said, they could do them, you know?
Yeah, but I'm so excited. I'm gonna save it. We're not doing a double Neo Monsters. We're gonna go to fucking Slurposaurs, which is such a dumb name.
I like it. It's a stupid name. Trust me, it fits this category way too well.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
way too well. So, yeah, Slurposaurs. You got spots 1, 2, and 3 available.
We'll go with Slurposaurs. Spot 1. Fuck it.
1?
Yeah.
All right. Today, for our not horror movie, we are watching Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yo!
Yeah.
Holy shit!
1959, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Holy shit!
Pretty cool, right?
That is pretty cool.
Bob, I was talking to him about this category at the podcast. He was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of want to do it, but I'm a little worried about what movies we will get." What are your thoughts now?
Oh,
Pretty
man.
rad, right?
That is pretty rad. I never read the book.
I have, because I'm kind of a nerd. Now, with that being said, out of all Jules Verne's books, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is my favorite. I own like a couple different copies of it.
I've read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea,
I
but I've
love
never
that
read.
one. It's so
Journey to the Center of
good.
the Earth.
But Journey to the Center of the Earth is a little bit different. But I think it's a lot of people's favorites because it's a lot of fun.
Oh man, I'm excited, but I'm also scared.
And I mean, right off the bat, we can talk about the fact that if you didn't get from that, this is a book originally.
Yeah.
It's based on a Jules Verne novel of the same name, and that was released in, I know off the top of my head, but like,
I don't know if
it's
I'm right.
old. Do you know?
No.
You want to take a guess?
It's old, but it's not that old, is it?
It's not that old.
Movie came out in 1959. Oh, 1932.
Way off.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like 1870?
Yeah, about. So the novel was first published in French in 1864, and then it was reissued as a revised and expanded edition in 1867.
Holy
He
shit.
didn't speak English natively. And what's really cool about this book is, first of all, it was a part of like a pre-existing genre of like subterranean novels. That was kind of already a thing. But what's so like interesting about this book, and Jules Verne as a writer in particular, is he was really, really into science, and a lot of his works are very well steeped in heavy research into like Victorian science at the time.
That's cool.
That's why a lot of his books, they don't hold up like amazingly well, but they do hold up very decent for like science fiction and like futurism, even though they were written
in the 1860s?
Yeah. We're getting close to like what, 200 years ago now?
Close.
I mean, not exactly. But it's still like what, 160 years.
Yeah.
So, they're pretty well steeped in at least Victorian science, and that's really cool. But the other really, really cool thing about this work in particular is while it was a part of like this, subterranean genre already, it did pioneer one specific thing in the science fiction genre, and that is the idea of like a prehistoric time capsule.
Oh, okay.
Which was like a really big thing for the quote unquote like time travel genre at large. And this idea of like, okay, here's this unexplored world with a bunch of like ancient life forms in it would just go on to influence like a bunch of different authors. And like the two big examples that come to my mind for both like author and their works that were inspired by Journey to the Center of the Earth are Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, which is really great. Love that book too. I also read and own multiple copies of that. And Edgar Rice Burroughs' Pellucidar series.
I knew you were going to fucking bring that up.
I like that one too. And is, again, see, The Lost World is kind of unique because it's not like an underground one.
Mm-hmm.
Pellucidar is 100% a ripoff of this one.
Yep.
But I do like Edgar Rice Burroughs. He wrote Tarzan and Princess of Mars series. But what's really cool about Pellucidar is that I have a giant poster, like an actual movie poster from way back in the day that's about, 8 feet tall. It's really cool.
You and I had a very, very long conversation about Edgar Rice Burroughs a while ago.
I like him.
I think we talked about Edgar Rice Burroughs for about 3 hours straight.
Yeah, he's really cool. I read him a lot as a kid growing up, like as a young boy. Younger boy.
A young lad, if
a
you
young
will.
lad. Just because like that's what his books are. They're like science fiction adventure novels, kind of cheaply written, but they're a lot of fun. But yeah, this is gonna be fun.
I vaguely know what this book is about, or even this movie. Like I have a general idea.
Okay, so the general premise of Journey to the Center of the Earth is a bunch of people go to the center of the Earth via tunnels.
Yeah.
And then they explore.
Mhm.
And there's like prehistoric things down there.
Yes.
And in this movie, some of them are slurposaurs.
That's what I was about to say. What the fuck did they use to make? Like, what slurposaurs are we going to see
So
in
the
this film?
question here is, what animals are they using?
To make these...
And what are they portraying?
That's what I'm curious about.
Now, one of the things to note about slurposaurs that is really interesting is sometimes they're done up in makeup and all this other stuff too that make them look more like other animals. So it is going to be a very interesting experience for Bob.
Oh, man. The guessing game of what the fuck is that is going to be so fun.
This is one of those things where the movies we're choosing for the slurposaur category are really, really famous for that, like, this isn't a subgenre, but for that film technique.
Yeah.
So if you just search the slurposaur term, you can definitely find photos from this movie, as well as all the other movies we're going to watch, this season for this category. But if you're interested about the slurposaurs in this film, and you just want to know right now, go Google Journey to the Center of the 1959, and they'll be like one of the first things that pop up.
Cool. Didn't they remake this?
Yeah, they made one with
Is
Brendan
it Dwayne
Fraser.
The Rock? Brendan Fraser. I
He's
don't
in
know why
it.
I thought it was Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Because the second one, it's Mysterious Island, which is another Jules Verne book. Well, it's based on another Jules Verne book.
Okay. I've seen that.
That has The Rock because they couldn't get Brendan Fraser because he stopped acting. That one's in 2008.
I've seen the Brendan Fraser remake then.
Now, I have seen this movie, but I think I saw it when I was like 12. So it's been a long time. I vaguely remember it. I don't even know if I finished it.
Okay. I'm very excited now.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
I was nervous coming in, but now I'm really excited.
No, I think this will be a fun category overall. It's kind of like a little relaxer for us after like 90 episodes of other things.
Yeah, well, I was telling Ben this, and this is what really sucks about this category, is like, this is the only time I get to watch horror movies now, is on the podcast, because
sad.
I'm banned from watching horror movies otherwise that we haven't already seen. And
The
now I
format.
have to wait another week.
Yeah.
Because
But it'll be fun.
It'll be fun, but I want to see some fucked up shit, Benjamin.
You might see some fucked up shit.
Oh, no.
I don't remember if there's animal cruelty in this one, but
Oh,
we'll find
fuck.
out.
Okay.
Assumedly, there's a little bit. It's the level, you know?
Yeah. It'll be no Friday the 13th,
Mm,
where they straight up kill something. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, that is very much possible. Anyways, description. How many licks does it take to get to the center?
It's so dumb.
It is very dumb.
It's so dumb, but also I fucking hate that owl.
A 1, a 2, a 3.
Oh.
It's the turtle and then the owl.
I don't care.
Okay.
I hate the fucking owl.
All right, length. 2 hours, 9 minutes.
Oh my god. Look, I like long movies.
That's very funny because we're recording at like 8 o'clock.
It's already late. We've already been like recording all day, basically.
Oh, yeah. It's been like 6 hours.
Yeah. Damn it.
Rating.
Oh, cool.
Approved.
Oh, good. It's one of those movies.
It is one of those
awesome.
movies. I guess this is technically before the MPAA, right?
Yeah, it has to be. If it has an approved rating, it fucking better be.
Review score, IMDb gave it a 7.0 out of 10.
That's like really high for an old film like this.
Oh, yeah. Tomato meter, 84%.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And the audience score is a little bit lower at 69%.
That doesn't matter.
But that's basically a 70. And that, a 6.9, 69 and an 84 kind of even out
yeah.
to a 70.
Hold on. Nice.
Yeah.
Continue.
For awards, it does have 0 wins, but it has 4 nominations. And 3 of those were for Oscars.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What? I'm so excited.
Notable actors, we have Pat Boone as Alec McEwen. He played Wayne Frake in State Fair in 1962. James Mason as Sir Oliver S. Lindenbrook. He played Professor Humbert Don't start laughing yet. He was in a movie known as Lolita. Do you know about that film?
No.
I don't know how that movie got made.
Okay.
And it's to the point where I believe that was the ad campaign. Like, I think I if you look at, like, the poster for that movie, the original one, it got remade, too. But for the 1962 movie, I think their, like, tagline is, how did this movie get made?
Why?
Well, the premise is a middle-aged professor
Okay.
falls in love with a 14-year-old girl.
Oh! Whoa! Whoa!
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
Look, I mean, it was 1960 something.
It got remade in the 90s.
That's not okay.
No. It's apparently a famous book. I think it's Russian. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I was just like, whoa, oh,
Oh my
that's
god.
something. That's very concerning.
I was laughing at Humbert.
I know, but
That's funny.
I'm pretty sure he's the groomer.
Oh my god.
Aside from that, this guy also played, and I think this is very interesting, Captain Nemo in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the like original Disney version in 1954, which is super cool because he did that, and because that film did well,
They did more Jules Verne.
yeah, actually, in fact, they did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That was Disney, and then someone else, I don't know who did it. It might have been Disney again. Did Around the World in 80 Days, and both of those movies cost a lot of money.
I think you're right. I think that was Disney.
It was Disney as well. But both those films cost a lot of money, and because those movies both returned their investment really well, this film was able to get made.
That's cool.
When they made this, they got Captain Nemo.
Whoa. Disney made this?
No, Disney did not.
Oh, okay.
Someone else made this.
I
but
thought you were telling me this was a Disney movie.
no, it's not.
Okay.
We have yet to watch a Disney movie on this podcast.
That would if we.
We have not popped the Disney cherry yet.
The only thing I can think of is maybe we watch Halloween Town.
Halloween Town. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or is
I
Hocus
guess-
Pocus Disney?
Mm-hmm. They own it now. And I think they technically own Nightmare Before Christmas as well, right?
I don't like that movie.
I think they bought it. You're a bad person.
I just don't.
It's great.
Well,
That was my go-to both between the times of Halloween and Christmas.
Okay. Let me explain. Let me put it this way, and I'm not going to explain myself on the podcast. I'll explain it.
Choose your words carefully because I'm sure plenty of people who
This
like this
that movie got ruined
like that.
by something else that happened around it. But I'll tell you off the podcast.
All right.
But something happened to me, and it
That
ruined
means
that
it's
film.
embarrassing for Bob.
Not embarrassing, just sad.
Oh.
And
All
I don't
right.
want to talk about it on the podcast.
That means Bob might cry.
No, the only thing that'll
Oh.
make me cry is maybe if a picture of Bub appeared right now.
Very tempted.
That's fine.
Arlene Dahl as Carla Gottberg. I think it's Gottberg. She played Madeline in Reign of Terror. Diane Baker as Jenny Lindenbrook. She played Senator Ruth Martin in The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, haven't seen that.
Thayer David as Count Saknussemm.
These names.
So they're foreign. I think they're
Yeah.
Icelandic, if I'm being correct. He played Jurgens in Rocky. It's a boxing movie.
No, I know what Rocky is.
Okay,
but-
you were giving me a look like you didn't know what Rocky
no, I
was.
mean I've vaguely seen Rocky. I've
Okay.
not sat down and watched Rocky in my adult life, but my dad watched it when I was a kid, and I vaguely remember that film.
That's fair.
I was trying to figure out who that was.
Jurgens.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
But I mean, it makes sense. That movie's 1976, so it's not that long.
Damn,
after
I didn't
this.
actually know it was that. Huh. Let's watch Rocky.
That is not a horror movie. Peter Ronson as Hans Belker. He really wasn't anything. He wasn't really in anything else.
Okay.
Robert Adler as Groom. He played Ross Harper and Bandolero. He's an old Western actor.
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
cool dude. And then finally, Alan Napier as Dean.
Who is that? I know that name.
Yeah, you should figure it out. We literally talked about him today off the podcast.
Oh
I
God.
think this is an old movie, so he has to be on something old.
Oh my God. Is this guy Alfred?
Yes.
He's in this?
He's Alfred Pennyworth in
Oh.
the original Batman series. He's also, very famously for this podcast, Dr. Scott in The Uninvited.
one of the best parts of that movie.
Yep. He almost won, I think, best, minor actor, supporting
man.
actor.
He's really good in that film.
He didn't almost win it. He almost got nominated for it.
Mm-hmm.
from when we did the Halloween Horror Awards, which I think that's coming out soon, guys. I think we announced it at this point.
Yeah, I think. Let me look at my calendar.
I think that's
so we're
coming
not
out, like-
liars.
We announced it. We announced it last week.
We announced it, but I mean, like, might as well tell them. Let's see. This.
I know it's not out yet.
It's coming out on next Tuesday. the
Okay.
30 It's coming out on Halloween.
well,
So look forward to that.
he almost came out for one of those categories. He didn't make it, but he
No.
got close.
He got really close. We were very much debating it.
Yeah, so those are all like kind of the noteworthy characters for like actors. Directors Henry Levin. He also directed April Love. Writers are Walter Reich. He wrote Gaslight. And Charles Brackett, who wrote Sunset Boulevard. They both actually worked on Titanic. They wrote that.
Oh,
The original
cool.
Titanic, not the new one.
Yeah.
The budget was estimated. Do you want to guess?
Oh.
Now, keep in mind, this is a long time ago. Like a long time ago. So don't overshoot.
Okay. What was the year? 1959.
59. Yeah.
I'm really trying to think because I don't remember how much the other films from around this era were making or were
Not
getting.
A lot.
It
Not
wasn't a lot. But this is a bigger production, probably.
Yeah, but it's still not a lot of money.
$200,000.
Okay, that was way undershooting.
Oh,
But I mean, you were in the right ballpark if this was a normal feature. This one cost $3.44 million.
oh my God!
Yeah,
Holy shit!
that was the estimated budget. However, the box office turnout, from what I could find, was about $10 million. So
It's not bad.
that is really good. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, that's over 2 times. But in 1959,
Mhm.
when we're talking millions of dollars,
That's a lot of money.
that is a
Because
lot
back
of
then,
money.
being a millionaire meant something.
Especially for like a science fiction picture.
Yeah.
Obviously, country of origin, United States. Tagline: a fabulous world below the world.
It's not bad.
Kind of rad.
It's kind of rad. It's got that like 50s, 60s
I
science
know.
fiction tone to it that I really like.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wish we could cover more stuff from that era.
We
We can do it, but
You just got to come up with more ridiculously named categories.
woo. This film it was a co-production between 20th Century Fox.
Okay.
So if you're wondering who did it, and Joseph M. Schenck, who was instrumental in helping establish Fox in 1935.
Oh, okay.
And then, as far as like where things were filmed, some of the underground sequences for the movie were filmed at the Carlsbad Caverns National Park. Other shooting locations include the Amboy Crater and Sequoia Point, California, as well as locations in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Cool. So this wasn't shot on a stage. This was actually like.
A lot of the stuff is on location. I'm pretty sure some of the stuff is on stage.
Well, yeah. Some of it they probably had to.
But they needed some stuff on location. And I believe a lot of it was shot in the warmer months. I forget exactly what, but I remember reading some stuff about it being warmer.
That's actually really exciting. I was kind of half expecting it to be almost entirely shot on like a soundstage with sets and stuff.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be tons of stuff that is.
Sure. But the fact that it was notable enough to name locations like that is really exciting. Because especially for a science fiction feature, it'll be really cool seeing what they do with the natural world, I guess. And especially doing Slurposaur stuff too. Like,
Slurposaur.
oh, this is cool.
Do you have any guesses for what
No, I
might
mean,
be portrayed?
Well, since I've seen like the remake,
yeah,
dinosaurs,
right.
but what the fuck are they going to turn into a dinosaur?
That is the question.
Giraffes.
Dinosaur is a good guess, though, especially because what's the name of this trope?
Slurposaur.
And what's the back end of Slurposaur sound like?
Dinosaur.
Well,
Giraffes.
Saur.
I'm calling giraffes.
You think giraffes are going to be
Yeah.
what? What animal?
like a, what is it, Brontosaurus?
Brontosaurus?
Sure.
To quote Land Before Time, a long neck?
Yes.
All right.
Oh. Or just big lizards.
Just big lizards?
Like a Komodo dragon? They could totally do that.
Oh, you think they'll get a Komodo dragon?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. No, like these are all good guesses.
Chickens, maybe? I don't know. Chickens kind of look like dinosaurs.
They do, but remember the whole like dinosaurs with feathers wasn't until like, well, it happened I think in the 70s, 80s, but it wasn't big until like
This could be whack.
the 90s and stuff. But okay, so your first guess is giraffes. Second guess is Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
Do you know what animal you think the Komodo dragon would play?
Just any big lizard.
Just big lizard.
Big lizard.
You know what? That's a good guess. Who knows if they care? And then chicken as what, Velociraptor?
I guess. I
Is that
don't
gonna be
know.
a guess?
Yeah. Oh god.
Okay. On that note, though, we're going to go into the movie.
Fuck.
We'll be back in 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in a minute. Hi everybody, welcome back. We just finished watching Journey to the Center of the Earth. I was right.
The 1959 one.
Yeah,
You have to
1959.
specify. There's
I
a
do have to
couple.
specify. I forgot that there were multiple, and also remakes and whatnot.
Okay. Before we start, I need to say 2 things.
Yeah.
First of all, definitely not a horror movie.
No.
There was...
Now I will say,
Bob did scream at one point, and he was very tense at others. So take that with whatever grain of salt you must. But it's definitely not a horror movie. But there is, like, tense moments.
yeah.
And I can tell, like, especially if you were a younger audience member back in the day,
Oh yeah.
that maybe this would be a little, like, nerve-rattling at scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not supposed to be scary.
No.
There's just this one moment where somebody appears, and it scared the bejesus out of me.
I don't know. It's one of those classic, like, it's a adventure film, and
Yeah.
it's like a family film. But there is, like, tense scenes and monsters and stuff like that. So, like, I can get how this would be a little horrifying back in the day. With that being said, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, this movie is straight up fun.
So much fun. Like, I'm kind of sad we didn't get to watch a horror movie this week.
Yeah.
Slurper were cool. Let's start with that.
Yeah,
but
they were
also,
cool.
I had a lot of fun. We were just flat out just bursting with laughter the whole movie.
Most of the outtakes are probably going to be us making a joke about something on screen, then laughing our asses off.
Which is kind of shocking because most of this movie, nothing's happening.
No.
It's just, like, little character stuff.
This movie is the epitome of us going, it's a nothing movie, but it's entertaining.
It's a fun movie if you have the right people with you. I think this would be kind of boring if you didn't have the right people.
Oh, my God. You know who'd hate this movie?
Who?
Ashley.
Oh, yeah.
She would go, oh, it's so boring. I'm like, Ashley, I'm having a blast right now.
I mean, I think anyone who doesn't like slow movies.
Yeah. I mean, it is long. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah. At the end, Bob was like, how long is this? 3 hours? With that being said, I can give a brief description here.
Sure.
And I'll keep it kind of brief because, again, nothing really too major happens. And, again, I think it's because they had $3 million, right?
Yeah.
But this definitely needed a higher budget than they had, which sounds insane. But that's really all I can say. It's a very expensive concept.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a long story. Like, I didn't feel like anything was too rushed except the ending.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff I wanted to see. But, like, the vast majority of the movie felt earned.
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds weird because I'll get to it in a second. But basically, this movie starts in Edinburgh. No, Edinburgh. I keep saying Edinburgh.
No, it's Edinburgh.
No, it's Edinburgh.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Everyone calls it Edinburgh the entire
Is it
movie.
just Edinburgh?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Did you not know that's how it's spelled?
No, it's spelled Edinburgh.
Yeah, but that's how it's
I guess it's spelled Edinburgh.
Mhm.
Oh. They're in Edinburgh, Scotland. And Alec, he's this dude, brings this rock to the professor. Is it Lindenberg?
Lindenbrook.
Lindenberg. And he's like, look, I found this lava rock, but it's heavy. And the professor is like, wow, I'm explode it. Then he does.
No, he doesn't. He very specifically tells his assistant, hey, pour this in slowly so it doesn't explode. Assistant gets distracted, pours the whole container in one go.
And long story short, they explode the rock, and inside of it, they find what is essentially like a counterweight.
Yeah.
And, in this counterweight that somehow survived a volcano, someone has written on it in paint, but they
Blood.
say maybe blood,
Assumedly blood.
which survived a volcano.
Whatever.
An elaborate message on this tiny thing about the size of your palm. And long story short, Alec and the professor follow this message to Iceland to basically use this passage an explorer before them used to get to the center of the earth. Their idea being discovery. Along the way, they pick up 3 extra companions. There's Madame Gottlieb.
Nope.
What is it?
It's Iceland, not Icelandic. It's Swedish, and I can't pronounce it.
Gothberg.
Yep, that one.
Madame Gottberg. Hans,
Yep.
who's Icelandic, and he can't speak any English. And then the best character in this whole goddamn film, Gertrude.
Now you may be wondering, who is Gertrude?
She's a duck.
She's a duck.
She's
I
the best
shit you
goddamn duck
not.
ever.
The duck is so entertaining.
It's such a weird thing because, like, normally in a movie like this, you expect the side animal character to be really annoying,
No.
but they don't force it on you, and it's just so casually there. It's hilarious
They're
and
just
great.
Trekking through these treacherous tunnels,
No one-
and there's just a goddamn duck.
No one recognizes the absurdity of it.
No.
Hans just shows up to the expedition, and he's like, "Here's Hans and Gertrude," and everyone's like, "All right."
The funniest part is the way they established Gertrude's existence is through a very elaborate bit very early on in the film. Because you know what Hans is? Hans is just a farmer. Hans is just a Swedish farm or an Icelandic farmer that they picked up.
Yeah, he might be hired help, but the building they find him in is like a place for feathers. Like he's
Yeah.
a duck farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Gertrude seems to be his pet, but he assumedly farms and then slaughters
And
that
they
same
just
species of
rope
dog.
him into this expedition and
Yep.
take him with them. And he's like so helpful. He's so useful.
In fact, at the end of the film, he's like, "If you ever go back down,
I'll come
I'll
with.
come with."
It's awesome.
But long story short, the 5 of them head down into this tunnel. It's in an active volcano.
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of this movie, I'll just tell you right now, like the vast majority, it's a 2-hour and 9-minute film. Maybe the first 30 minutes are like the setup.
Yeah.
And then the back hour, like the next hour is them just walking
Mm-hmm.
down into this tunnel system. And that sounds really boring, but like, well, nothing really happens besides walking and like stumbling down these cave passages. It's a lot of fun because it's really just characterization moments
Mm-hmm.
until they eventually get down into the actual center of the earth for the last, I'd say, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And the last 30 minutes, I want to say right now, are really, really cool. I think they're definitely worth the whole film.
Oh, they're super dope.
It's just sad that they're so short, but I can
Mhm.
totally tell that's because they were the most expensive.
They had to
They
be.
had to have the most elaborate sets, backdrops, stuff like that. That's also
Mhm.
where our Slurposaurs are
Yeah.
for the most part. So on that note, though, I guess we're going to talk about the film.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have spoilers throughout here, so just like heads up if you're worried about spoilers. I know maybe you don't really care because this isn't a horror movie, and that's fine.
It's also old.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I will say, if you've seen like Journey to the Center of the Earth, like the more recent movies, or any like of that content, you are probably a little familiar with the story because it
Mhm.
follows, the beats of the book.
Yeah.
Hell, even the new movie has a bird character in it.
Didn't know that.
It's a little glow-in-the-dark bird.
Oh.
I wonder if that's a cameo.
I've seen it, but I don't remember that.
To like a reference to this film.
Maybe.
I hadn't thought about that. Anyways, I'm not sure like how much I want to talk about in the whole film
Mm-hmm.
because I think overall it's pretty good. I do have 2 points I wrote down that I do want to go over.
Sure.
So I say I go over those, and then like if you have anything else you want to talk about that I don't cover in those 2 points, maybe we move on.
Sure.
Because again, not a horror movie. Not a lot of our usual stick to like analyze, right?
Yeah. And like, here's my thing. I'm used to watching a horror movie every week. But this was a really nice change of pace. Like I had a really, really good time watching something that wasn't supposed to be scary.
Kind of relaxing,
Yeah.
Now, before I get into my 2 points, really quick, I do want to mention though that like the sets and the costuming in this movie, really great.
So cool.
They also made a really good effort to have like some antiquated dialogue and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just all around, a lot of effort was put in. I just wanted
Yeah.
to mention that first and foremost.
Especially at the beginning of the movie when they're not doing any of the exploring and they're just like in society.
Yeah.
Doing, normal stuff.
In fact, a lot of this kind of reminds me of old like musicals.
Kind
you
of.
see, like musical movies.
We haven't even
In
gotten
part
to
because
that.
there is a shocking amount of singing in this.
There's a lot of singing. in
It's
this
not
movie.
like a musical, but there is an amount that like you can tell this is a family movie from like the 50s.
Yeah.
Like
But it's done well.
I don't know,
And enjoyable.
2 or 3 songs, but they're all natural.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense. They're not like when you watch a musical and you go, "Why are you singing right now?"
no, it's just a character like jokingly serenading another or like
Yeah.
playing music because they're bored. But to move on to my 2 points, the first one I want to address is the Slurposaurs in this film because that's kind of like the big thing here.
Yeah.
So I got a list of all of them, and we can talk about them really quick.
Okay.
There is, in fact, 3 Slurposaurs in this film. So I'm going to start with like kind of like I think the first one everyone should know and then move on from there to like second and third, right? So the first and probably most famous Slurposaur in this entire film are the optically enlarged lizards.
Yep.
They are very specifically rhinoceros iguanas, from what I could find,
Oh, okay.
that have had fins glued onto their back
That's okay. I thought so.
and are used to play Dimetrodons. Now, Bob just said he thought so, but there is very distinctly a clip I marked, and we'll see if Bob's a coward, where Bob goes, I can't tell if they glued those fins on. Do iguanas have sails?
Well, I kept asking you, and you wouldn't answer me.
I know, but I thought it was very funny that you were like, what does an iguana look like? Does it have a big sail on its back? But yeah, so they took some iguanas and they glued, from what I could tell, assumedly it was a, I don't know, like a felt piece that wrapped around their back with a sail on it. And they glued that to their backs, which, already dipping into some slight animal cruelty here, don't glue things
To animals.
to live animals.
Yeah.
Kind of fucked up, especially because it's this huge sail on their back. With that being said, the one good thing I want to say about these, like this specific Slurposaur, is that a lot of the times, the issue with Slurposaurs is, first of all, it's done for like cheap reasons, but at the end of the day, like you take like this animal like a lizard or something and you have it play a dinosaur, a lot of times that lizard does not look like the dinosaur you're trying to get it to play, even with all this shit glued onto it. But in this one scenario, at least antiquated like pictures of a Dimetrodon kind of look like an iguana with a sail on its back. Have you ever seen a picture?
Nope.
So they're, from my understanding, I think they're like proto-dinosaurs. But I'm going to show Bob a picture really quick, so I'm going to step away from my mic. But they don't look exactly like that, but it's kind of similar. Like similar enough where this is one of the few examples of Slurposaurs that I look at it and I kind of go, it kind of looks like it. Like it's kind of passable.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could buy it.
Yeah,
I could see
it's
that.
definitely something you could buy. And so I do want to say straight off the bat, besides that probably being the most famous Slurposaur in this film, because there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there are like a lot at one point.
And they're really cool because like they definitely slowed some of the footage down, but they also have these really cheesy like roaring sound effects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they kind of look like the thing they're trying to portray, and I think that's definitely a plus. With that being said, there is one dark side to these specific Slurposaurs, besides, you know, the whole gluing fins to their back.
Yeah, which
right.
probably was not good for them.
Very specifically, at one scene, I think it's very specifically Hans throws what are essentially spears. They're gaffs, but at one of the iguanas, so the Dimetrodon, and the spears stab into it, and the creature dies. In this scene, I just wanted to note two things. A, I'm not sure if they actually stabbed a creature.
I don't think so, because it's fake blood.
It is fake blood, but that does not mean they didn't necessarily insert, like...
I'm just saying, it looks
a
like they
sharp
might have
stick.
just taken, like, sticks and glued them to the side to look like shafts.
Yeah, it could be either or, but it could also be like it wasn't bleeding enough,
Yeah.
and they put fake blood on it. The one that goes... Hans throws two things at it. One goes into the shoulder, and one goes into the mouth. And the one that goes into the mouth looks fake,
Yeah.
but the one that goes into the shoulder doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
They could be glued on, though, and there is some fake blood. But the issue I want to mention, and I think it's kind of up in the air, is there is a scene where that iguana dies, and then the other iguanas start eating it. And I do want to mention that it does look like a real iguana in the dead iguana scene. And from what I can tell, they don't, like, kill the iguana on screen.
No.
But it does look like a real dead iguana, so I'm not sure if, like, one of the iguanas was killed, or if any of these iguanas they glued fins to
Or if they just
survived.
got a dead iguana somehow.
I mean, you can just get them at the pet store and stuff.
Yeah.
Animals die at a pet store all the time. But I just wanted to mention that because, like, you know, the gluing stuff onto them is not great. But also, I don't know what happened to them after these scenes were filmed.
No, I don't know.
Or, like, where they got this dead iguana, because I'm pretty sure it's a dead iguana. Or, like, how well they were treated on set. I should mention that. With that being said, they do look really good in this film for a Slurposaur. Because Slurposaurs don't look. Right.
They're not great
normally. I will mention these are definitely way bigger than a real Dimetrodon's supposed to be.
No, they're fucking.
Because they're huge.
They're huge, and they do a ton of perspective work to make them like.
They could eat a
terrifying.
man in one bite.
They could.
Now the second Slurposaur, and it's definitely, I think, the less famous one from this movie, although there is a really good still you'll see with the Slurposaur, is this giant lizard that you later see in the ruins of what the film calls Atlantis.
Yeah.
Because when it sunk below the sea, it
went
somehow
right to the middle.
went right to the middle of the earth. But yeah, there's this giant like lizard down there. And it starts off like a normal color, and then it turns like bright
Red.
glowing red. And generally speaking, it's not clear what it's supposed to be.
I don't know.
However, if you look on Wikipedia, it lists it as a giant chameleon. Do I think that's right? I don't know, but it does change color.
It does change color. It's
And
fair.
it very specifically can shoot its tongue out and wrap it around stuff.
Oh, like a chameleon
Like
does.
a chameleon.
Okay.
With that being said, this giant lizard is played by a tegu. Do you know what a tegu is?
No.
They're really big, kind of smart lizards. They're like the lizard equivalent of a velociraptor. They're kind of cute, though. Here, I'll show you a picture of a tegu.
Oh, that's a lot bigger than I thought it was.
They get big, but people keep them as pets. But yeah, it's a tegu, and starting off right with the whole animal cruelty thing, they paint it red. They covered it in red paint, which is fucked up. But
Yeah.
especially because it might have been like lead paint and
I was
stuff.
about to say this is 59. That was probably not non-toxic. paint.
That lizard might have died. Which, to get into a second thing, there's a scene where it gets covered with lava, and they definitely covered that lizard with something that was red and steamy,
Yeah.
and it covered its whole body. And yeah, I don't know what happened to it, but
They also dropped a rock on it.
they also dropped a rock on it. It wasn't great for that lizard. Yeah, that's all I can say there. It's an interesting scene with the lizard. They do a lot of good force perception stuff.
Yeah, the use of the lizards as monsters is cool.
Yeah,
The animal cruelty sucks ass.
Yeah, that's kind of like the hard thing with this category, because it's like, okay, this is like a really cheap way to achieve like monster. And to be honest, I'm actually more forgiving of this second one where it's just generic dragon lizard thing
Yeah.
that turns red, more so than I am of the Dimetrodon, because like one's a real animal and then this one's just monster lizard. So I'm more forgiving of this one, and I can view it as just like, oh, this is an interesting film technique, because it is. It's kind of cheesy, but it's interesting.
It's cool.
However, the animal cruelty's hard.
Yeah.
And especially going into this film and being like, wow, this is, like, I've done some research. Well, I've done research in all these films, right? And when I was doing research on this one, I wasn't necessarily expecting the animal cruelty in this one.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of knew to expect it in all these films, but I didn't really find anything going in, like, research-wise,
Yeah.
on it being in this one, so I was kind of surprised seeing it. I wasn't shocked, but I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of unpleasant, even though I think the effects were done pretty well.
Yeah, there was nothing like inherently the use of a Slurposaur is going to be goofy and a little bit ridiculous because of what you're doing. But I think
This one was very passable.
it was very passable. In fact, with the Tegu at least, some of those scenes are actually quite cool
Mm-hmm.
and really well done.
I think, again, because they didn't try to portray it as an actual creature.
Yeah.
We'll see later on how that changes
Mm.
and how that maybe affects some stuff. With that being said, there is a third Slurposaur in this film. And to be honest, it might be probably the best Slurposaur of the whole film.
Okay.
See, technically, Gertrude is a Slurposaur.
Okay.
Which is very funny because Bob, what did you say like 40 minutes into this movie?
I made a joke about that.
Bob was like, what if Gertrude's the Slurposaur? Yeah, so technically she is also a Slurposaur. And I think this is a good example of the fact that, like, this technique is one of those things where it's, an animal playing another animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so while there's these really, really obvious versions of this technique used in film, like, these big monsters and stuff, or like a dinosaur being played by an iguana with a frill glued on its back, there's more subtle ones. So in the movie, Gertrude is supposed to be a common, I believe it's an eider duck.
Mm-hmm.
They mention it in the film. And Instead, she's being played by a white domestic duck that they've done up in makeup.
Oh.
And the reason for this is simply because the trainer couldn't get an eider duck through customs in time for the film, which I think is very funny. But, you know, it goes to show that this technique, while it's like this big thing sometimes, is also just like a very small thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is more of a nitpicky one, but
It's funny.
I thought that was funny.
No, it is funny. Well, especially because we're doing a category based on it, and the other ones are so obvious. When you kept saying 3 of them, I went, "What the fuck is the third one?"
You kept giving me a look. Yeah, it's Gertrude, and you can tell she's painted up and everything, so it does make sense.
I mean, I didn't notice.
I mean, she's got this big spot on her eye that slowly kind of disappears, and sometimes she has like a different colored plumage on the bottom. Like you can kind of generally tell, but it is kind of like a dye, so it does look not bad. But yeah, those are the Slurper swords in this film, as far as I'm aware. And, you know, overall, I think they were okay. The only other thing I want to mention is one of the stunts in this film.
Oh.
And I think it's probably one of the coolest stunts in this movie. There is a couple of water stunts in the film, but
those are cool.
The most impressive one is there's a whirlpool in the middle of this underwater ocean in the movie. And it's all... Parts of it are practical effects. And then parts of it are minis that they put into a whirlpool.
Yeah.
Very specifically because they're all, like, on a boat.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to mention about the sequence is that Arlene Dahl, so it's the woman who plays Carla Gottberg, actually fell unconscious after filming this scene.
Oh, my God.
And it took, like, 30 minutes to revive her.
What happened?
I mean, I literally grabbed a quote by... Boone, if you want, I can read it.
Sure.
The guy who plays Alec Ewan. It's kind of long, but do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. James Mason, Arlene Dahl, Peter Ronson, and I were on a raft caught in a giant whirlpool. It was a tricky thing to shoot. The raft was on a revolving platform that tilted when it went around. It had looked like we were being tossed violently. Hundreds of gallons of water were being dumped on us to simulate a stormy sea. The noise was deafening, but not enough to drown out Dahl, who started screaming as she held on for dear life. She screamed at the director, Henry Levin, "Get me off this thing. Get me down. I'm going to pass out." She kept yelling. Mason had little patience for it. He thought Dahl had already overplayed the role of a dainty creature when we had to wear very heavy parkas, fading winter amid very hot July weather for another scene. Dahl complained then of heat prostration. Mason was not amused as this time he yelled back at her, "Shut up, woman. We're going to have to do this 10 times if you don't keep quiet. We're going to have to dub the dialogue anyways," and they got the shot. And apparently she did pass out.
Oh, my God.
Afterwards.
That sucks.
So, I mean, assumedly it was a combination of, I would guess, dizziness and nausea from being spun.
Yeah,
as well as,
probably.
like, getting tons of water dumped in your face.
Yeah. Cool scene.
Cool scene. Yeah.
This movie's full of cool shit like that.
Yeah.
That's the big thing about this film, and that's like my biggest takeaway, is it's everything you want from a like 50s science adventure film.
Yeah.
Packed into
like
one
a
movie.
family, yeah.
Yeah, it's like incredibly cool in like so many interesting scenes, tons of cool sets. My biggest thing is you would think that them walking through a cave for like an hour and a half is boring,
And I definitely can see how it could be boring.
but what they do is they switch up the types of environments they're exploring throughout the cave system.
And some of them are pretty.
And some of them are pretty, and a lot of them are really interesting and very unexpected.
They have some painted backdrops that are really cool.
Yeah, and like they do tons of things throughout it to keep it fresh, where it's like something happens that you don't expect, and then they're trying to problem solve. And it's like, oh, I didn't expect this. Like, I don't know. I had a much better time than I expected, and the movie wasn't at all what I expected. I expected them to get to the center of the earth and explore that much earlier.
Me too. I honestly, I think I've seen a little bit of the beginning of this movie a long time ago, and watching it, I was like, I don't remember this. But yeah, I was so shocked when we got like, I don't know, an hour and a half in, and we were like, wow, we're still in this tunnel.
Yep, still exploring caves.
But I don't hate it. I think my real issue with this film is, again, while this underground sequence I think is about the right length, it can feel a little long. I do get that. I could get cutting it down to be shorter.
Yeah.
Especially for a modern audience that wants like a faster film. But I don't think it's necessarily overplayed because they're supposed to be down there for like a year.
Yeah, it's a long ass time.
And you definitely feel that translated.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing I wanted more of was just the scenes in the actual center of the earth.
Yeah.
They're all really cool. There's cool creatures, even though we only see 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they're Slurposaurs.
I would love to have seen more.
But I would have loved to see more. But, aside from that, I thought it was pretty good. And there's a nice little ending sequence that is dramatic, and then they end on a high and funny note.
Oh, God.
There are some funny jokes at the very end of this
God,
film.
the end of this movie is fucking hysterical.
But on that note, yeah, I don't think I have anything really I want to say about this.
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to mention is
Gertrude's the real G.
Gertrude is the real G.
She basically led the whole expedition.
And it's hilarious. There are so many shots of this movie where it's just 4 people following a duck. And it's like, what is going on right now? And none of them question it.
No.
None of them are like, oh, we probably shouldn't follow this duck. The duck is leading the way.
Yep.
It's awesome. The last thing I want to mention is, like, we mentioned it at the start, but, like, the beginning of this movie is all set up. And you kind of, at least for me, I was like, at least at the beginning, I was skeptical. Even the setup is entertaining and fun and good.
Yeah.
And that's, like, the best part is at every single turn, this movie is entertaining. There is no point where I went, oh, this is boring.
I mean, I think a good example of, like, hey, the setup being pretty decent is there was a couple characters in the setup that Bob was like, wait, are they not coming with us?
Yeah, I thought they were going to go down into the center of the earth, too.
Because he just liked them, and we'd only seen them for, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was like, damn, they're not coming? Okay, I guess they're not coming.
At least we got Gertrude.
Yeah, we got Gertrude. And Hans.
And Hans.
God,
Hans is a trooper.
Hans is the most useful person there.
None of the 4 people who... Well, the professor and Alec only spoke English.
Yeah.
And Gottberg
Mm-hmm.
spoke Icelandic.
Yeah.
But Hans only spoke Icelandic. And no one tried to talk to him except Gottberg.
Nope. Anytime they needed something said, they would say it and try and mime it, and then Hans would just be like...
But he was still so nice
Okay.
to them.
He was so entertaining. He also has a gold tooth,
Oh, yeah.
which I thought was ridiculous and fun. I don't know. I was very, very surprised by this film. Like, I had so much more of a good time than I expected. It's got the old film charm with...
It feels like old Hollywood.
It does.
Well, and it's got that goofiness of something like Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
In some ways. It's just fun. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Highly recommend if you got someone who like enjoys old movies to watch with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really like I
God,
think what'll make
it's-
this. Because it could definitely be boring by yourself, I will say.
Yeah. Just because it's long.
Yeah. Long with not a lot of actual stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you want to do recommendations though?
Okay. We just kind of recommended it, but if you're into older films, like from the 50s and the 60s, this one's cool. It's really fun. I think something else we didn't really mention, it's in color, which
Yeah.
I know we really harped on loving black and white when we watched haunted house films, but this film benefits from color.
I love black and white, but certain films do benefit from color.
And this film
Especially,
definitely does.
Like early like Technicolor and stuff.
yeah.
This wasn't Technicolor, it was the other thing.
I know what it's called.
It
but
starts with a C, right?
I think so.
I don't know. Basically, it's in like earlier 50s color. It's how it is. Like it's the really not washed out, but
like saturated.
color. But yeah, this film really benefits from it because of like all the wild environments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of cool stuff.
So yeah, if you're into films from that era, if you're into science fiction adventure films, this is, like I said earlier, everything you want from something like that. It's got good characters that are entertaining and witty with each other in really entertaining ways. And lots of... It's not hard science, but it feels kind of like actual science a little bit.
I mean, it feels like comic book science.
But that's the best part.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But like comic book science when it tries,
Yeah, it's just so entertaining and funny. I don't know if I guess if you're into Slurposaurs as like
a concept, yeah.
a concept, this has some pretty
It's
solid
It's
Slurposaurs.
a good film to watch, I think, if you find that concept interesting. I mean, that's why we're covering it. But like, I'm gonna start off with this. Wouldn't you definitely say this is a better watch than like Night of the Lepus for that technique?
Yeah, for sure. Because in Night of the Lepus, you don't get as much like of the bunnies actually
Doing stuff.
but like the iguanas do stuff, and it's fucking freaky sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's cool.
They really play them up in a way they don't necessarily in Night of the Lepus.
Yeah, for sure. If you're looking for a movie that you could totally watch, like with a younger kid.
Yeah,
This is like a kid's movie.
a weird
almost.
thing to say. It's a family movie. Is
Yeah.
the way I would say. But you could definitely put this on with like a family, like of
Mhm.
younger kids. They might not be super entertained by it because it can be kind of slow. But
Yeah,
you know.
it's fun. That's it. Those are my recommendations.
All right. I mean, I think I have identical ones to Bob. Like, nice little family film, which feels weird recommending on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a horror film though. So if you're looking
No.
for horror, I'm sorry, it's not that. But if you kind of want some old-fashioned like science fiction, fantasy stuff, I think this is right up your alley. It's also like a Jules Verne adaptation.
Yeah,
So
for
if
sure.
you like him, go check it out for that reason. It's pretty. I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's fun as an adaptation.
That's my big thing.
But again, my big recommendation is this is just a great example of that Slurposaur technique. Not only because we have one Slurposaur that is kind of close to accurate, 100% not accurate, but kind of close. We got one Slurposaur that's just generic monster, which I think is cheap but valid. And then we got one that's like so subtle you technically aren't able to notice it. And so I think that's really, really nice to see. Now, I am going to add the caveat of, well, I have all those recommendations. My big thing here is, again, if you don't necessarily like animal cruelty, this is maybe one of those movies you have to watch out for. You know, if animal deaths make you sad. Because they're so slight and maybe didn't happen. Like, it's not a very obviously
Yeah.
framed thing on screen where, like, I don't know if we're sure. But I do want to mention that. I think it might be less bad than the sequence in Friday the 13th.
Oh, it definitely is.
But it is worth mentioning because it sucks.
Because in
Because it
Friday,
kind of like, it's like, oh, that was cool up until that happened.
yeah.
On that note, though, I think we can just do our ratings. So,
I'm in a weird spot because, like, I don't really have any problems with this movie.
yeah, it's definitely not a 5.
But it's not a 5. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's not a 5, but I don't have any problems with it.
In fact, I think it's not a 5 because it just needed more time underground in the center of the earth.
I think that's might be my only problem. And I think you said it earlier. I just wish that the parts in the actual center were longer. We got to explore more. I feel like for a movie I guess it is called Journey to the Center
It
of the
is
Earth.
technically Journey to the Center of the Earth.
And most of the movie is the journey. But I don't know, for a 2-hour film, you couldn't have given us an extra 15 in the middle.
Also, I showed Bob like a picture of the poster. It has some of the Slurposaurs on there.
Yeah.
Like you see that and you go, "Oh, that's the movie I'm gonna watch."
And you don't get that all too much.
Also,
till
if
the
you
end.
look up like photos from this movie,
It's probably all of the end.
it's some Slurposaurs and stuff. So
I'll give it a 4. I like it. I think it's super fun. I really was entertained the entire time.
I think that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a 4. I mean, overall, I think the acting's pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like the best acting ever, but it's old school.
It's old school, but also like the performances don't need to be nuanced because it's an action adventure film.
A cheesy family action adventure film.
So it doesn't have to feel like we're not getting crazy emotional range, but you're getting
Yeah.
everything you want, and it's entertaining and fun.
and there's bad jokes, but to be honest, I had so much fun watching this film and all these shitty little jokes.
Every shitty joke was hilarious.
That I can't say I had like any big issues with it. I'm
Yeah.
not super nitpicky about it. In fact, I think my only issues are just potentially some of the animal cruelty stuff with the Slurposaur.
I mean, fair enough.
But
you know?
I mean, I gave myself pre-warning and I gave Bob pre-warning for that. And while I don't like to see it, at least I was prepared this time.
yeah.
I always forget the things in Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this one isn't like super blatant. So maybe it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I hope.
We can hope.
That being said, my main issue is, like Bob said, the lack of like at the center of the earth content.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that I need more scenes, but that I just wanted them to be longer. Because like the sequences at the center of the earth just feel like super truncated in a way
Yeah.
that just makes the end of this film feel really rushed. And while I think this is technically a journey to the center of the earth, and that's what this film is, I just want more of the cool, actual science fiction stuff.
Yeah, man. If they'd explored Atlantis longer, I would have liked it more.
Or just like the ocean or stuff like that.
or just done more stuff there.
Yeah. So because like I wanted that and that's not what I got, even though I did get a journey downwards, and I had a lot of fun in this film, I'm just going to give it a 4. I think that's
Yeah.
a pretty solid rating.
No, yeah,
It
for sure.
Did above and beyond what I thought it would do.
Oh yeah, I was so nervous coming into this. Like I was excited, but I was like, man, am I actually gonna have a good time?
Especially because it's 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, and we have been recording. What time did you get here?
2 o'clock.
Nah, you weren't here at exactly 2, were you?
No, I was here at exactly 2.
Were you? I don't remember.
Roundabouts. I was like 2:05, but still. And it's 11:30. So
Yep. We've been recording all day, and I expected to be bummed out by the end of this,
No,
but
but
I'm not in a
it's
bad
great.
mood.
Thank you, Gertrude.
Thank you, Gertrude, and Diet Coke.
And Diet Coke. Not sponsored. That's Bob's new Monster energy drink.
It is. I stopped drinking Monster because of too much sugar. So now I just drink Diet Coke. The
left-
aspartame's going to take me.
He left his job where he does any physical exercise for
Yep.
a desk job.
And now I can't have as much sugar.
On that note, though, I guess we're going to go to the outtakes.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot.
We'll see which ones were good. I hope you include that clip where you're like, do iguanas have sails?
No, bro. Stop making me
Don't be a
embarrass myself
coward.
on the podcast.
All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the outtake section for this episode of Beware the Board. I hope you're enjoying our review of Journey to the Center of the Earth so far. I like this movie. I think it's super freaking fun. Ben and I had a blast watching it. But without further ado, let's get in to the outtakes. This first clip is our reaction to the fact that they do indeed sing during the movie.
Oh, my God.
Is this a fucking musical?
It's not. I don't think. I think they're just singing for him. Because they're excited.
I love this.
This next clip is my reaction to how competent Hans actually is on this expedition.
Jesus fucking Christ. Is he lowering himself down?
Like, yeah, there's no one else up there.
What can't Hans do?
Speak English.
Okay, fair enough.
This next clip is our reaction to Gertrude being completely immune to the environmental dangers of the cavern.
Well, Gertrude can just swim.
She's having fun.
She's just drinking the water. Look at her.
I'm pretty sure she's looking for food.
I've never experienced. Of all the animal companions to have in this harrowing situation, a duck is completely fine. Look at her. She's just swimming away.
She's having a good time.
Yeah.
Well, vacation.
This next clip is Ben and I being confused on how much of this film is just them exploring the caves.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised how much of this is just underground cavern exploring.
Nothing has happened.
And
Ben.
we're not like... I'm entertained, though.
No, nothing has happened. I'm having a great time.
It's like a very slow movie. I can definitely see this being not your thing.
No, but I'm having a blast.
Oh, Gertrude!
The best part's this goddamn duck.
This next clip is me getting the shit scared out of me by basically nothing.
He's basically a baseball player.
Fuck. That guy scared the fuck out of me. God damn.
This next clip is our reaction to the Slurposaur reveal in this film.
Yo.
Slurposaur.
That's actually terrifying. What is that? Is that like a... Is that a Komodo dragon?
It's a Dimetrodon.
God, what actual animal is that?
Can you not tell?
Is it just an iguana?
Yeah.
He has a giant ass fin on his back.
I know. How do you think that got there?
They're just gonna go swimming? They're gonna swim away from
He's a man-eater.
Honestly, good use of an iguana.
Here's the clip that Ben requested that I include, even though I don't think it's that funny.
I can't tell if they attach those fins on their back. Or if those are real. I don't think iguanas have those, right? You're not gonna answer my question?
I was going to talk to you about it like when this is over.
This next clip is our reaction to them discovering an entire civilization down in the center of the earth.
What? No fucking way.
Atlantis.
What is it doing down here?
It's sunk.
All the way down here?
Yeah, to the center of the earth. Yoink.
What?
Makes sense, right?
No. This is nuts.
Science.
This next clip is our reaction to Alec desperately trying to cover himself.
Fucking Alec.
What the fuck? What happened to his pants?
They flew off. They were like rags.
He's just naked in the fucking Italian countryside.
Hey, at least he's not dead.
No, that sheep. That poor sheep. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. I'm sure they were entertaining.
I hope you included that quite a bit.
God damn you.
Might not be
God
funny,
damn
but I
you.
want you to include
I
it.
hope I definitely included the clip of the guy with the sheep. I'm going to leave it at that. Because that was fucking funny.
The very end.
Yeah, that was such a good bit. Okay, do we have any announcements, Ben?
Well, we're doing the Halloween Horror Awards. I guess that's
Yeah.
coming out on Tuesday. That's what we said
Yeah,
a
it'll
long
come
time
out.
ago at the beginning of this recording.
Yeah, a
It was
couple of
like
hours ago.
3
at this
hours
point.
ago. These things are so long. Aside from that, I don't really think we have anything else to announce, except we're doing a convention thing. Wrap up,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know when that's gonna come out or when that's gonna be recorded.
I don't know. At some point, we are going to a convention. In
Yeah.
fact, by the time this episode releases, we'll have gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think instead of like talking about our experiences there on like just whatever the next episode's going to be, we might save that for its own episode just so we
Yeah.
don't have one episode that's really long and just padded with like 45 minutes
Of conversation.
about a convention that you might not care about. So
Yeah.
that's going to come out at some point. I don't know when. It's just whenever Bubs gets to editing it. But aside from that, no more announcements. So, the usual stick. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other places on the internet, including YouTube, which is not the most convenient to listen to podcasts at, but is kind of nice because, like, we can see your support there. We can see how many, like, views a video is getting and, like, subscriptions, which can tell us, like, hey, maybe you're listening to it other places. It's also really nice for you guys because it's got this little bell button. And I know, slap the bell, blah, 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 blah. But it is kind of handy if, like, you don't know how to set up notifications for, like, when we post a video and you want to know. Because, like, YouTube will just bug you that we posted something.
Yeah.
We post at the same time on YouTube as we do
Everywhere else.
everywhere else because of how things are set up. That being said, YouTube is also one of the two main places you can communicate with us at. You can do that in the comment section of a specific video, or you can climb on over to @BewareTheBoard over on Twitter and climb into the deep bowels of Bob's mind and try to find the center of his disgusting personality and see
No.
what
You'd have to find my personal Twitter for that, and that's not that hard.
Slurposaurus is hiding beneath the surface.
Ugh. It's just Gertrude.
It's
just
just a
Gertrude.
duck.
It's just a duck. It's what's in my brain.
Oh, you know that old SpongeBob episode where Plankton's piloting?
Oh my god. It's just me, but it's Gertrude instead. For fuck's sake. Like Ben said, check us out on Twitter @BewareTheBoard. It's where we post information about the show, updates about the show. Basically, if there's anything you want to know about the show, check us out there. On Mondays, I post a spoiler post for that Friday's episode, which is basically a hidden movie cover that you can reveal so you can watch the movie before we do, so that if you listen to the episode, we don't get any spoilers. So if we're being really vague about stuff, you kind of know what we're talking about. Then, on Fridays, I post a link to the episode with maybe an associated meme if something was funny. So if you ever missed an upload or want to know when something went up, there's always a link on our Twitter. Then, check us out on YouTube Shorts and at TikTok @BewareTheBoard. Hopefully, there'll be some short form up there soon. We're working on a new format.
Yeah, Bob's got the short done, and for once, I actually like it. mostly because I think it's more entertaining than our usual stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, congratulations, Bob. The issue is that, like, we're having trouble getting it to upload the way we want it to look on YouTube.
Yeah. TikTok's fine.
TikTok's fine, but there's some weird YouTube things. I suggested a fix
Well, I'll try
to Bob earlier. We'll see if it works.
Yeah.
So, whenever we get it fixed that it looks right on YouTube, we'll post them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
Basically, I'm going to wait till I can have them ready for both. And then look, don't hold me to this, internet, okay? Audience, please don't come for me. I'm going to try to do shorts twice a week.
Yeah, because you figured it out. It's not that bad, right?
Monday and Wednesday, and then Friday episodes, just to keep the content machine flowing, to be honest.
Let me ask a question for
Yeah.
a hypothetical. What if we have multiple episodes a week? What are you going to be doing about that short form content?
Crying.
Are you just going to drop like an episode
Nope.
of short form?
I'm going to try to do it all.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if that happens. I don't know.
All right, fair enough, I guess.
I'm not nearly as committed to keeping the short form schedule, but I'm going to try to keep it.
That's fair. I just
Just
thought I should
because
ask.
there are so many. Like, we talked about something funny earlier today that you were like, you should clip that for short form. And I'm like, I should. That's hilarious.
Sure, I did.
You did.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We were talking about. Oh my God. I forgot what we were talking about. It was something.
Was this before the movie?
Yeah, this was like when we were eating food earlier. Like,
Oh.
way earlier.
Okay.
But anyway, I digress. Check us out at TikTok at Beware the Board and on YouTube Shorts if you like short form content. Hopefully there'll be some new stuff up there soon. I think that's everything.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.